Israel, Amsterdam, Norway, Poland, Germany, USA, Slovakia, Romania, UK, Netherlands, Corfu, Czech Republic, Lithuania, New Zealand, wow, Latvia, Oregon, South Africa. Oh, Teresa, you're still in South Africa, how amazing. And Italy, Belgium, Portugal, Thailand. Ah, Natalia, hi, you're here, so good. Ireland, incredible, incredible. Whew. Wow, what a download. So glad to see all of you here. And there were almost 200 people. What I already informed you with is that what's going to be the flow. So in the beginning, I'll share what I have to share based on the exploration, personal experience, and of course the main source of knowledge, Raoul Hu, Human Design System. And then I'll take a couple of questions. If you really feel like asking in the middle, then of course just raise your hand. But the general flow is like that. Yeah? I'll share the knowledge, I'll take some questions, and then we'll open the field and we will share. So each and everyone who will feel that there is something that needs to come out into the collective field, let it be so. Yeah? So it's not just my download, it's all of us co-creating. And I really want to thank for everybody who keeps the camera on, because for me it's super important to see all of you, to tune into all of you, because until this moment everything that I will share was completely in my head and in some RAS lectures. So seeing all of you and tuning to you allows this knowledge to be fine-tuned into our collective field. So also within the download that I'm offering, there's going to be a few sections. I will start with sharing the classic knowledge of human design in 2027 and what this system teaches us. And then I will share some of my own heresy, let's say, because I've been investigating the world and multiple dimensions, and recently I had some puzzles kind of coming together, which has been quite a mind-blowing experience on every level, on mental, physical, emotional. I don't want to call it any big names other than experience, but it's definitely there. And we'll also do some practical stuff, so you'll not just listen, but you will also have a few moments of connecting to yourself, to your body, to your spirit, to your being. Well, you can do it already now. You are doing it right now, in fact, I am sure. I talk to all of you as those who do not need to hear what human design is and what's the difference between generator and manifestor. I assume all of it know it very, very well, and I'm super glad to see many of you and know that many of you already either finished your foundational education, and even so many teachers are here. And yeah, and in the last part of my download, I'll also make an offer. And I'm not going to sell you any courses, any readings, as you may think, but I feel that we are entering into something new, so I want to offer you something completely new. At least it's new for myself. Maybe you will all say, been there, done that. But something that I came up with as a true passion, yeah, of mine, which is, of course, humans and being in the human field. So I guess that's been the practical part. If you have any questions, anything to share, please write in the chat, and Alex will support me also with bringing things. And for now, I will start the journey, which I called 2027 and beyond. And the reason why I called it beyond, because first of all, so many of you already know much about 2027. When I saw the list of who's coming, I was like, okay, what can I share with you guys? You already been in the human design journey for so long, and all of you probably felt that spark within when you heard about 2027 and what's there. So what can I refresh? Yeah, and as I said, here is the flow, and what I'll share are my ideas, which I am completely aware of, and not even really mine. Because what is mine? What is this my thing? Does it even exist? When the I dissolves into the ocean, the drop dissolves into the ocean of that water. As you see in my chart, I have the gate of ideas, actually even a couple times. but are they really mine, or is it me just scanning the field? And I want to start actually tuning into you and to ask you, because so many unexpectedly responded to this topic of 2027 and what's beyond that point of time and space. What attracted you in this topic? Yeah? Why are you here really? If you can write in the chat 1, 2, 3 words, so we understand what is our intention behind this cluster of crystals of consciousness, of souls getting together and talking about this topic. I can tell for myself that for me, what is important is just to speak about it, because carrying this information for so long literally makes me explode sometimes. And when I see the news and when I hear people's talks or people's questions who come to work with me with the readings and courses, I literally recognize how just talking about it brings out some kind of pressure. Just like talking about trauma brings out the pressure of trauma. Yeah, we have curiosity, we have a shift coming, new inspiration, need to connect with like-minded people. Yeah, camera doesn't work. Okay, Pia, I can feel you. Being part of the changes in the new earth and being able to help others toward, so we are helping each other here just by the fact of existing and connecting together. Understanding your place as a quadrite, need for expansion, connection with people who are into consciousness, awareness, growth, mythological perspective. It's interesting. Preparing for mutation, and I'll give you some practicality here. Invitation to give human design another chance. That's cute, real. More info about the change, feeling of change, being present, connect with unknown, absolutely. Experience and observe, because we don't know. Just see me in action, Benny, that's cute. Pressure, to let out pressure, to give the pressure, to share pressure. What? Yeah, so here we are. And interestingly enough, what I thought when I thought about this topic is that it's a topic that's all about the future, right? We're talking about the future here. And then I thought, what is actually future? Because one thing and one truth that I want you to take with me through this whole journey is that we exchange words. So the words are so incredibly important. And each word, and I'm going to bring a lot of words here, each word has some meaning behind its own meaning. So etymology of future that I discovered is to grow and to become. So in the way focusing on the future allows us to grow. But on the other hand, we know there are 3 or even 4 or even 5 times. We have the present, this moment that happens right now. That's already finished when I finished saying it. And now it's a different now and another now. And then there is a past and the future. And then there is another dimension, which is eternity, that is in every moment. And there is a timelessness, which is even bigger than eternity. And all of these times are here together. But the mind loves to focus on the future because it feels that there is something to grow through. And that's how I want to start our journey, is that remember that when you're focusing on the future, you're here to come also here. Because the future is not happening there. It is here. And we are building it every single moment as we go. We grow together. And we grow in the program. The program is one of the very foundational words in human design system. We talk about the program as something that has created us. Some people use it as a synonym for God or spirit. And I've been as well until my recent experience when that completely changed. And I do not use them as synonyms anymore. I started seeing things differently. But the program is what we use in human design system. And as you see, it has to do with pro, which is before. So the program starts in the past, which is also in the now. And those of you who were deep into human design, you know that the past is not something fixed or constant. It's also changing depending on the mental activity. And then the graphen, I don't know if I pronounce it correctly, the writing. So the writing that was written in the past is what program is. But then we also know that we live in the illusion of time and space, bringing together those elements and creating what's called life. And we, being the crystals, all we can do is filter everything that is, which is the program, and then experience that illusion of reality. And we filter the program, what we call neutrino stream, the agents of the program, the particles of the program, that touch us through the base of our soul, of our crystal, that sound within and come out as a color. Yeah, it may not seem that important for the journey, but later you'll see why it is. And in fact, as you probably know, we have two crystals each. As you look at your body graph, you see these two sides, the conscious and unconscious. Each has its own nature, whatever it is. And then there is what's called magnetic monopole that binds together those realities and creates that illusion. Now, if we look scientifically at this whole situation, we see something like Big Bang happening. And out of this dark matter, our souls are coming. That's the only definition that we found so far for what we cannot call names. And then the matter, the movement, and all of what the bases represent started creating what we know as reality, or what we know as program that creates reality. And in that program, we are being built. Our bodies and our crystals, our souls, landing in those bodies. And all of us here are coming from multiple realities, what's called incarnations. Some of you, I know, have experiences and memories of your past lives, and maybe even future lives. And it's a fascinating thing to live that memory here and now, because some of us are able to do that. But is it relevant? Is it important? Asks the open-headed Ajna. Well, let's see. What's important for now is that we anyway can always find the polarity, always find the duality. And the duality that we are going to talk about today is duality between the old world and the new world. Where the heck are we going? Or where we are already now. And you know, when I was thinking, what kind of metaphor am I bringing to share with you? I thought of this club, of this field where the music is so loud and so conditioning, and everybody wants to be within that conditioning because it's cool, you're having fun. So understanding the 2027 mutation is imagining yourself dancing in the club, and then one person comes, switches the button, and the music changed. And as the music changed, the dance started to be different. There's a different move, there's a different rhythm. And that's what we are going through. We're going through the process where the music is changing. And while we were dancing this beautiful collective dance all together, we are starting to dance a different dance. And in human design, we call the stages and the tracks, we call the tracks crosses. So we're coming from the track, that's a cross of planning. And we're going to the track, that's called a cross of sleeping phoenix. And those are very, very, very different songs. So what are they? And where we are coming from and where we are going? And interestingly enough, as you see, those are the charts. Yeah, so those are the charts of the crosses of different tracks. We are lucky to be born in the middle, in the center of. We use the vocabulary of locks and keys. So those marked with yellow, those ones, those we can call the locks and the keys. Some of the gates are fixed and some of the gates are changing. Now, I do not want to go too much into technicalities because I know not everybody here is professional, and those who are professional, they know these things really well, so my contribution will not be that much of a mechanics and technicality, but still it's something we cannot avoid, right? But before I jump in, I just want to share with you, when I heard that definition, locks and keys, it moved something with me. And honestly, to me, it didn't feel good. I don't know why. Because to me it felt like, okay, basically human design tells me that I'm trapped, I'm locked, and I'm in key in that illusion of time and space. And as I said, I'm here to share with you honestly, not necessarily without any conclusions, but that's how it felt. So and I'll come back to it later. But what are the locks and what are the keys? What we see is where we are coming from. Yeah, the civilization. I put here all these beautiful cities and buildings from some kind of civilization game, and what we discover is that where we are now, still where we were born, where our ancestors that we remember and have contact directly or not were born, is what we call the track. Yeah, the song of planning, and that song was all about let's get together. Let's support each other. Let's be family, community, and all these structures that we are so lucky to benefit from. And I know for most of you, it seems so obvious that you can go to the bathroom and open the tap and there is water. And for most of you, there's even hot water. And it's so taken for granted that it's like, what, there will not be that? Yeah, actually, for most of the humanity, it never existed. It's so recent. It's so not to be taken for granted that everything we have, where we can just have a piece of something, come into the building full of food, touch that something with another something, and have a box full of food. We don't need to hunt it. We don't need to do any physical effort. Not all of us. Some of us do, some of us not. But it's so much easier thanks to that we have planned that together. We planned together, we realized what are actually our needs, what is to be human, what is to trust each other, which is one of the foundation of what it is to be human today. What is to develop skills so we can build whatever is being built and see forward. I'm born in Soviet Union. In Soviet Union, we had these 5-year plans, and each factory or whatever, they had this 5-year plan, and the winners were doing, like 7 years and 5 years, and everybody were contributing. And literally, I remember in my youth, we went to work in the community garden a couple times a year on Saturday, and it was like normal. Yeah, and that's the traces that we all hold in one way or another. And we're able to focus for extended period of time on what's been important. And what's been important, what am I contributing? With what skills am I doing that? And what happens is that the music is changing. And the music that's going to play is so, so different. Yeah, it's called Cross of Sleeping Phoenix. And it's quite interesting that the sleeping, this adjective, what does it mean? What is Phoenix? The Phoenix is the being that's basically so passionate that it burns itself and rises from ashes. And then again, and again, and again. And running forward, we're going to see there's not going to be fashion. Genetically, it's going to be cut. So, what happens? What does it mean, the sleeping Phoenix? When we know that on the level of the channel, we're going to have the charisma, the busyness, the doing, and at the same time, being so in the doing that not even being available for others. Now, how many of you are already experiencing it? And there's so many friends of mine here that sometimes we cannot meet for half a year living in the neighborhood city. Or even have a call, just a relaxed call, because we're all so busy. And that's not even the beginning. It's the prelude that we're experiencing. So we're entering into the space where the abundance changes its definition. When we're coming from the abundance, there's been a sufficient and over-sufficient fulfillment of needs. We're going to abundance of the spirit. Whatever it means. And it can mean so much to each and every one of us. When intimacy, sexuality, this deep, deep connection is going to mean completely different things. Co-creation itself is going to take absolutely different notes. And if some of you are playing music, when the note is changing, the whole thing is changing. Can't play together. So, what are we here to expect? And here on this slide is literally just a very, very basic mechanics. What we are changing now, and in this time of evolution, is that we're moving from the first line to the sixth. Because as you know, we count the cycles differently from counting the personal body graph. In the cycles, we are counting kind of backwards. So from 1, we go to 6. And if 1, to decipher this keynote, it was all about I need to build a solid foundation. It's all about digging deep and researching. And once the research is done and all the data is in place, you become authoritarian. You become authority for others. That's why there's so much authority out there. Supposedly, those who did their homework. Obviously, we understand it's not a real thing, yeah, that happens in actuality, but at least we gave it a try. And of course, all of it is based on fear of survival, and fear of losing the position in the hierarchy, and so on and so forth. And where we are going is so completely different. We go into the 6-line reality, and it's just a different thing. It is the reality where there is no need to achieve. There is no need to investigate. See how precise it is. When we were teaching this keynote 5-10 years ago, we had no clue what AI can do. Today, this is incredible. We understand that information loses its value, that the skills are losing their value. Every single day, the society is changing, which is taking its steps toward the 6-line frequency, which is all about I am who I am, and it is what it is. And the rest, let's see what happens. Let's give the program. Let's give the program the authority. Or is it within me? And then, what's the difference? I'm asking. I'm not giving solutions, yeah, but I love to ask. Sometimes the question is the answer. So to go a bit deeper into the keynoting, and again, what I'm sharing here is a pure human design keynoting based on those channels and gates and lines and all of that. We understand that we come from the place. And of course, it's not just planning. We have a couple of processes here and there, but again, I said I'm not going to go to technicalities, but just going to bring the top of the top. Is the inner truth, 61. Yeah, we were all looking, what is true? What is God? Yeah, before Nietzsche said, God is dead. Then God said, Nietzsche is dead, but that's a whole other story. So we're building this reality on logic. And where is the logic? Guys, do you see any logic happening now in this reality? When it happens on the political arena, on the financial arena, on the economic, whatever, every field of life now loses any kind of formula. We're literally finalizing something so deep. Now, what's important is, I just said all of those political, economical, but I also want to bring your state into within. Because all of it is happening inside of you, inside of me, inside of all of us. It's not out there. It's in here. And that's so important to say that. So we were ripening through the mutual support, through helping each other, knowing how to deal with each other, having very, very clear social hierarchies. And we saw the future that's slowly falling apart. And there's not a day that goes without a shock if you're opening the news. And there's not a day that goes without, wow, is this real? It's not, it's surreal. Yeah, those who can see, those who are watching, so much seeing it, both in the outer field, but also inside. Because what changes is the way we are able to deal with inner and outer space. So everything outside the skin and inside the skin and in between, the unseen, that is the most important, what changes. And this busyness can be overwhelming. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with this busyness? Somebody has the mic on. Alex, can you check? So, fundamentals of what we know as to be human are changing. The reproductive system. By the way, anybody seen these artificial wombs that are being built in China? They are insane, really insane. There are even videos on YouTube I saw. It's like unbelievable. They're already running ads campaign, and I think one of the companies are even went to IPO. It's like, whoa, that's huge. Also, our biology is changing and blending with technology as we speak. Of course, it's not going to be for everyone. Some of us are going to stay retros. The retros, the oldies, the old ways. Yeah, that's how Ra used to call those who still will choose to kiss and hug and sleep together and snuggle and make babies in the traditional way, because some will be able to, still the minority, but it's not going to be the majority case. So what we're going to stay with is now. So as I presented to you in the beginning, the whole notion of time is changing. The whole time is changing. And most important is that this change is happening chemically. When there's been the Great Reset 6 years ago, in 2021, and we were asked to insert some unknown substances in our bodies, and people were so anti and fighting against, I was looking at it and I was saying, this makes so much sense. If we want to go through mutation in 7 years exactly, that's what has to happen. Human anatomy, biology, chemistry need to change. So they're just agents. When you look at it from the perspective of the observer, that's what you see. No judgment, just facts. Of course, when we go down into personal level, we have opinions and ideas and our values and principles. But if we have this meta view on that, we see that these processes are literally inevitable. So that's the hugest change, is that our bodies are changing from inside. And the solar plexus, as I put here in the picture, the solar plexus, that center is the one that goes through the biggest change. Now, the center is responsible for a huge connection of neurons that go everywhere in the body. And it's not a coincidence that today, yesterday, the main discourse was self-development and living your uniqueness and living yourself and finding yourself. In the last couple of years, I don't know if you noticed, please share what you have to, what you are observing, because in my very subjective reality, that's what I see, is that the discourse starts shifting. So those who are looking for the true now started more regulating nervous system, not looking for themselves, looking for their identity. And it is also the step. Tomorrow it's going to be something else. But right now, in this time of transition, being a Homo sapien in transitus, that's what we see. That the nervous system became, got our view under the microscope. And the way we understand emotions, that motion of chemistry within that pushes us to action, to say things, to do things, for good and for bad. As the wave goes up and down, is going to change. Now, what does that mean? Because when we look at the body graph, we see that this whole connection between the root and the solar plexus is just falling apart. It's just falling literally apart. And this channel is the foundation of who we think we are. It's not even think, it's who we are taught, who we're conditioned to be. We're conditioned to be one tribe, we're conditioned to support each other, we're conditioned to look for resources. When people get rich, first thing what they do, everybody does the same thing. Okay, imagine you gonna have, out of the blue, 10 million euros. First thing you're gonna do would be what? Wanna say, right? Any ideas? I don't know, or I don't see the chat, or nobody's writing. What you gonna do? The first thing, imagine you just got all this money, like, let's say $20 million. Buy a villa, here you go. Buy a house, jungle. You see, this is exactly it. Holiday on Bali. Very good. Oh, Michael, you're playing small with 10 million euros. All you're gonna do is just a holiday in Bali. Just kidding. Yeah, go away in the mountains. You see, it was like buying a villa. It's all, other than paying debts, which of course is the basic thing. It's territory. It's expanding the territory. And here we go. Can you imagine what does it mean? The humanity not worrying about the territory? Okay, my friends, so here the class just got cut out, and I just will briefly insert in the post-production the fact that later I discussed the pentas and the penta awareness and how we are basically moving on the one hand from individuality, but on the other hand, this will also be falling apart of the big collective into the smaller penta, the smaller construct that we are. And it's going to be seen very well by the fact of rave children. So that is another construct in human design, in the language of human design, that brings the wisdom of 2027 being and marking this new period of time where we will witness, hopefully, but not necessarily, the birth of the new kind of humanity that are called raves. Of course, in the beginning, they're going to be children, they're going to be adults, but there is this part of this knowledge that is absolutely sci-fi. I cannot call it otherwise, because it's just doesn't seem even realistic. But what we know about these children is that they will only be functional in the penta, in the group, not as one being. They will have receptive mind, unlike ours, strategic one. They will have emotional awareness, unlike ours, mental awareness, navigating us. They will be very, very different chemically, so their bodies are going to be different. They're going to have different food, sight, touch, digestion, communication, everything I wrote there. And of course, I discussed all of it in much bigger depth. But all of it, honestly, now that I'm saying it again, it doesn't matter, because we want to go practical. We don't want to listen to stories. It's enough for you to know just what it was mentioned here. But what is truly important is what you're going to do with all of that. Because that information that we just discussed in this first half is very interesting, very mechanical, very entertaining for the mind. But we want to go practical. And that's what I will discuss now in the second part that has been saved. Tradition, in every single tradition that is connecting us to the source, the ability to surrender, not as an idea, but as a state of being, is one of the most important abilities here to be mastered. Yeah? And of course, surrendering to the fact that that which holds the grip on today's reality, on today's illusion, the masters of illusion, don't want to let it go. So everything what you see is being engineered by the program, but still the program has the consciousness and it has intention. And later I'll share with you why I'm saying this. So these byproducts of pandemic and forced injections and mass migration and governments not doing anything about it. We know the consequence. I don't even want to give it embodied frequency and sound, you know. Everything that you see that I wrote here, and again, I just went on through the basics, yeah, it's probably not going to go until the last person who is born next year will die. That is one of the prophecies, that the old world cannot see the new world until the old world is dead. And those who remember the old song cannot enter the new world. We all remember the old song. We all sing it. We all dance it. So we all have to die for the new world to appear. And there is a choice whether you want to come back here or not into this new world. And my belief is that you can choose. At least you can try, and let's see what happens. But surrendering and not fighting the fact that that's what's happening is the first step into the journey forward and not back. Then it's also surrendering the fact that we cannot stop time. And we are going to see all that we see more and more exaggerated. And that what we call human nature itself restructuring itself into something different. But that different is not us. It's different. So again, we surrender to the fact that we're heading towards somewhere. But then who is that me that is heading there? Yeah? Demonstration of power, isolation, competitiveness. Those are just keynotes of the gates I already talked about. Living in the now without future is no future anymore. We are here and now. We can't plan. How many of you lost money on the tickets, didn't fly because of this and that, couldn't go to the events because this and that, and it's just the beginning. Yeah. So what's the potential here? Potential here is to taste what it is to be a human being. Human being as a noun, not as a verb. What it is to be. What it is to embody and empower individuality. What it is to be totally in the moment, in the now. When every tradition, every culture were teaching this to us for ages, for centuries and thousands of years, now the program rearranges itself the way that the time itself is shifting, and our neurons on the brain level and our being on the subtler level can find that hole in that helmet of dense time and jump through that hole and find itself in the present. That's my way of verbalizing that experience. That's the totality of being in the now, not just doing in the now. And the rest is happening. But on the very, very practical level, I want to talk about obvious things and the less obvious things. So the obvious things are those. The practical perspective on what to focus on, says the ninth gate. What to focus on, what to focus on, yeah, is of course what to focus on is where am I, with who am I, what my body is doing outside and the inside, and where my perspective is. So on the outside, it's really, we still have freedom of movement. Are you in the place that it feels Are you in the place that your body feels relaxed? In terms of your room, in terms of your house or apartment, in terms of your area, neighborhood, in terms of the city, in terms of the country, on every level. And they are different. You may love your apartment and not like your country, or opposite. So look into this, look into this from that different perspective. See, what can you change if it's or if it's nah. That's one thing. That's the environment thing. The movement thing is extraordinarily important. It's so important that I cannot even tell you how. This is how. And you know who talks? The person who hates moving. Like, really, I'm a brainiac. I'm a projector. Just give me books and to read things, to study things. And this year I was planning to talk about it later, but I'll tell you now. That some of you know me. I'm like an experimentator on really weird planes. When I was in 2007, I was exposed to the knowledge that our body can live without food. And since then, I was obsessed with that, and I had episodes of longer and shorter. My longest was 9 months without solid food. And last time I did it in 2025 for 3 months. And in that period, I experienced something that I haven't experienced before in my previous trials, is that I would get up in the morning and my body would go and kick me out of the door and force me to run. I was literally witnessing it happen. Now, I hate running, honestly. It's like the last thing I would do. And witnessing it was that. That, of course, I started studying this, like why and this, because for me, it's always the only practice that I did with my body was just yoga and meditation. But if you want to explore the mitochondria development and these and that, you'll find a lot of interesting facts. Again, I can talk about it for at least a couple of hours. It's just not a focus of this meeting. But if you guys will want to explore more, let's do it. I actually didn't tell you something super important. I had to say it in the beginning and I forgot. I felt this really strong call in sharing a lot of things that I've been investigating. So at the end of this meeting, today, tomorrow, after tomorrow, whenever it feels good to you, please reach out, please share, because if you will, and I will feel that the energy is coming from you, I'll be glad to do more of these meetings for free. To me, it's just so important to be able to share things, because I see that with this flood of information, we still don't have that much of a personal example that we can share with each other. Yeah, and I have really a lot to say about each of these topics, but now it will be just the content level, yeah, of the preface level. So movement. Try to move your body, because there is something in movement that you can't find anywhere else. And it's not lymphatic massage I tried, and it's not like this drainage, this and this. It's not the sauna, it's an actual movement. Not the yoga, not the hatha, something different. And again, my body is completely passive. You could say you don't need it, but I thought so. And I discovered in the deep conversations with professionals that movement is life. And if you look at the base, at the structure of the base, it starts with movement. The first base is movement. The movement has been created. It is the beginning of everything. So even the mechanics show us that. It's the foundation of the foundation. The heart. The heart, I'll talk about it a bit more, but I can tell you that the trusting your love is fundamental for what you think you are, for what you really are, for those around you, and for the world. It's fundamental. Without experiencing love, we cannot be human beings. The food, I can talk forever, that's why I will not. But I can tell you that whatever you are eating, just try to eat a little bit less. Just a little bit less. This would be my homogenized, very common recommendation. Just a little less. That's it. And before you eat, ask yourself one question. Just one. Who wants it? Just like that. Just experiment and let me know how it goes. Because to me, it changed my life when I discovered that technique. Who wants to eat? And you'll find within that there are programs that are pushing you to eat that are not you. And, I can say as a PHS practitioner, I'm guiding quite a few people. Yeah, thank you, Riel, for the resonance. And I heard from several people saying, I don't remember when I was really hungry. I eat because that's what we do, twice a day or 3 times a day. Teach your body, regardless, even if you are quad left, because we are set in human design system that the left brain body people have to eat all the time. This is not true. This is not true. I live with a quad left person who eats twice a day without any, munching in between. And he's 70. He looks same age like me. I'm almost 45. So the food thing is such a basic conditioning, and we cannot ignore it. We just cannot. That if we are entering the mutation consciously, our food habits have to mutate, whether we want it or not. And it's better you start doing now if you haven't already. So I cannot tell you what to do, unless you come into my sessions, of course. But I can tell you these 2 things. Just ask who wants to eat every time you touch the food or you're about to touch it, and just do a little less, just a little bit less. That's the base as I see it. And I put here the key and the death. I tried to find the cute death as much as I could find the cute death. Some of you here have been in my death course. I know that I've been teaching several years ago, and it's a huge topic. Actually, this year I got certified as a death doula in America. It was a fascinating process. I didn't come to there because I want to work in the hospice. I came there for a process of studying. So I'll find another level within me where I can think and talk about death without this feeling, within that most of us have. Because this life that we live in this body has to finalize with death, and it will. We will all die. And the more we are in peace with that, the better we're going to feel on the other side, and we'll know what to do. Because knowing what to do after the crystal detaches from the body creates the whole trajectory of your eternity to come. And that's something that I learned in many traditions that I've been exposed to. And I see it as one of the most important teachings. And therefore, being friends with death, I see as a subject to discuss, to talk, to contemplate on and to do work around. And to me, it's more important than most of the subjects that I have shared. And when I put the key, I meant actually habits and revision of habits. What are your keys that are unlocking the program? Have you been looking at your keys? How do you build your day? What is important? What's not in your reality? So all of those are be present when we enter the Phoenix song, Phoenix dance. And a couple more things I put on the separate slide is the work with time. The work with time is fundamental. It's really fundamental. Again, I was lucky to be exposed to two teachings that I lived in the Mayan community for about 6 years, where the whole life was arranged in a different time reality. So I learned there that we can work with time just like we work with wood or with carrots. How do you perceive time is so subject to change, but it will not if you don't bring your attention to. So energy goes where attention flows, so to say. Think about how you treat time. And I'm not talking about time management. I'm not talking about what you do during the day. No. Talk about different things. Again, here I'm just state the themes, what you can look at. Bring your projector, your lighthouse on. You can experience the cosmic level state in 5 minutes. And you can have nothing of a day or a week or a month. There's magic when we work with time. And as we do, we also get trapped. Took all kinds of scenarios. I brought the basic one, the Karpman triangle, that you probably know, the victim, savior, and the aggressor. Where are you acting from in every given moment? Are you aware as the observer? Those are things to focus on. Is that in balance? Because we can't escape. But when they're all balanced, that's the escape from the game. And it's a heck of an escape. Let me tell you, it is. It absolutely is. You're doing good? All good? I'm like talking all the time. And that's like, in this moment, I felt a little weird. How common there would be? I think Sirius might have some extraterrestrials. We are all extraterrestrials already. Seems to me like. Would you say reflectors feel the shift more? Well, more and less is linear perception. 70, yeah. Please share. Yes, okay. Autoimmune. Yes, it's all a product of mutation for sure. Not just food. We'll have to hear more. Yeah, please write me the messages and then we can talk deeper on some other subjects. Okay, so now I want to share with you one of the most incredible practices that I have been exposed to. I actually discovered it. I didn't learn it. I discovered it. And I think maybe many teach it, but I never found it in the way that I do. And I call it the stops. Now, what is it? It's literally about stopping. During the day, during you doing anything, stop. Like stop. And I thought that it could be fun to try to do it together. So wherever you are right now, sitting, lying down, if you're moving, then just stop. It doesn't matter posture. It doesn't matter where you are. I'll just put a timer. You can close your eyes, not close your eyes. It doesn't matter. Just let's stop for a minute. There it is. How was it for you to stop for a minute? Was it a long minute? Was it a comfortable minute? Good, good. So imagine 5 stops like that during the day. It's just 5 minutes. And there's zero guidance, nothing. Just stop. Do whatever. And I brought this image because I really love it. And that's what I've personally been doing. I like to do stops when I'm in a public place, in the middle of the crowd like that. When there's nothing, no phone, no doing, just stopping. Just try it. It's one of the cracking the matrix methods that I discovered that to me is mind-blowing in its simplicity. And at the same time, it's just so profound. I also like to do it when I'm in the kitchen, doing something and then I'll stop. So kitchen is one of my practicing places. And another thing that I'd share as one of my strongest practices is noticing the details. Whatever it means to you, whatever it means. But when you notice the detail, there's something absolutely magnificent in it. It's just, when we gone from bigger, I know myself, such huge, infinite being, but it starts in the nuances. And I have so many stories to share, but I won't, because then we'll never finish. But just the detail. That's something microscopic. As you know, if you've seen the microscopic images, they are like the universe in everything. How do I place the spoon, on the rack? How do I, prepare my cacao? How do I put this computer, Did I bring some attention, or it's just like whatever? In those little details surrounding us in 3D, they're portals to something bigger, to connect us so we can stay present. And another huge topic that I thought also of kind of expanding, but I won't because it's already started being too much, is memory. Our memory is changing. Everything you think about the memory is changing, like so big that we are literally losing memory as humanity. And it's not just about AI distorting reality. Almost each and every one of you notices that you don't remember things that are obviously you have to remember. I know that. And if you do, sometimes it's not exactly, and you discover it in the relationship with others. So the topic of memory is an incredible thing to investigate. Again, I'm using very, very simple techniques, basically, having 2 mudras and just changing them. For example, this, can do. And just change. And just change. And your brain starts synchronizing on a different level. And the faster you go, something starts rewiring. So these very simple exercises are very, very helpful. Another very practical thing is the system that's called self-voicing. And that is something that's based on speaking with your mouth to yourself. Anybody here talks to themselves loudly? Nils, I see you do. That's cool. Who else? I don't really know. Almost nobody. Danny, Tiana, Evelyn. Okay, some of you do. That's great. Natalka, you too? You're laughing. Yeah, the manifestors, they're much better in this. For me, it's the weirdest thing that people do. But I discovered that it completely rearranges reality. Yeah, and those of you who will be interested, please write to me, and I'll send you the guide of how really to do it, because it is a method that I've been developing in the last time, the infinite time, and right now I'm writing a book about it because I see it as the connection with the self on the level that nothing and nobody can support us. And the source of it is in the cognitive architecture, where the sound is in the center is in the center. It's the foundation. So our own sound directed to ourself, to me, is a key, again, for cracking the code of reality. And there's a lot to it. And this is something that I'll be glad to share, this little manual, absolutely for free as well. We are coming to something very different. But first I want to take a sip. Anybody wants to share something? So I have a sip meanwhile. Is it going good so far? You want to hear a bit more of my heresy? Because that's coming. Okay. So I prepared the slide, actually, one from before, to show us how this futuro archaeological synthesis at the threshold of the new era, that's called the era of intelligence centauration, which is basically the integration of human and machine that is coming. And we all see it, we all understand it. It's not going to happen to everybody because there is no such thing as our future. We're going to have many different futures. And that is something that I'd like you to take from this meeting, that the future is going to be decentralized. We're used in our mind to one centralized future, one centralized, presence. It's finishing, it's gone, it's dying. Just like the fiat is dissolving in crypto or CBDC, the homogenized future is dissolving into the fraction realities, very defragmented. So your future and his future or her future is going to be very different realities at the very foundation. Yeah, so again, I don't feel to focus on it, but this is important to mention, that a lot of the resource goes into promoting that kind of a future. But you have a choice, and there is no good and bad, but it is a choice. We talk about choicelessness, and we talk about choosing within the choicelessness. What does it mean to you? Okay, yeah, it's a question, very important that you know your answer. But what I want to come with, that regardless of your genetic type and your inner authority, what I recognize as the foundation of what it is to be human, yeah, and I looked, of course, at the dictionary, human, belonging to man. Yeah, if you go deeper into the culture, into, I speak Hebrew. In Hebrew, the man, the original man, is called Adam Kadmon. The Adam Kadmon, the man that was there before the duality. It was androgynous being. That human directly connected to the source, beyond the program. So to be human, to me, is to have that spark that makes you alive beyond the program. And that spark lies in the G center, in what normally people call the heart. And that is, to me, the peak of our evolution, is the direct connection through that center, through that portal, to everything, to totality. And I know that each and every one of you here, because you're here, you have that experience. And you are growing that experience. And you are focusing on that as a human. Because thinking of that, what else is here to do? All the rest of activity is happening while you're doing it, or not. Those are the modalities. But what we learn in human design system is that after we are leaving the top chain and the raves are coming, that's not end. It's an end on this plane, on this 3D plane. But the evolution will continue. And what's going to happen after the 1,300 years is what Ra called Eron. And the Eron is a very different design from the nine-centered rave or Homo sapiens in transitus. He sees Eron as the collection of all our souls together, as this ceramic kind of pyramid, which to my studies, and I took the cosmology course, seems like a huge trap, but somehow it's presented as an ultimate blissful being. And I'm finding a dissonance with my personal impression from this information and from how it is presented. And I would really love to hear my colleagues who are here, if you also will feel comfortable after I finish the whole trip, to share your perspective, because to me it's a topic that's very, very important to discuss and kind of cross-pollinate with each other of how we perceive it, because something there, it just feels weird to me, honestly. And again, here I finish the part of talking about 2027, and I'm coming to the part beyond. And I want to share with you this something. I'll try to make it very short, because honestly, I'm already start getting tired, and probably you too. It's already been an hour and 40 minutes that I'm talking. That you may call a heresy, but maybe it is. I don't know. But I just felt like it's super important to share my personal process. As an investigator, 1-3, I'm constantly being exposed. Not constantly, but it's like my life goes like in the cycles. And of course, discovering that essence in human design, which forever will be my deep love, my language, and my way of perceiving reality. And there's not a chance that I will deny it, because it's structured and made me who I am, where the duality is the foundation of understanding it. And then I see the world how it is, and I'm asking myself, what kind of program shall it be that is so evil that literally puts us in the prison and suffering? You know, I literally saw the picture recently of the Starlink Sputniks, and I felt like bringing it here. I didn't know really why. I think because when I saw this picture, it moved me a lot. It's like the technology basically puts humanity into this global prison where we cannot escape. And this is also part of the program, because it's done by the program. So how is it possible? How is it possible that the program is so vicious to us? I don't know how to say, that puts us in this prison. So in the journey, I was exposed to what's called the Gnostic knowledge. Anybody have experienced this or studied ever any Gnostic texts here? Please share, because to me, honestly, it was one of the craziest mental explosion, because what this knowledge does is that it explains the nature of reality based on the direct experience of the Gnostics. So just like we have Ra sharing with us his revelation, there are many, many people who have their revelations, and they brought them into the scriptures that were mostly extinct because they did not feel the collective narrative of the outer authority, because the Gnostics tradition was all about the authority within, the authority inside. I put actually, now I'm not finding the slide with the Gnostic authority. That's weird, because I put the definition of Gnostics. And in the last several months, I'm spending dozens and dozens of hours in studying the scriptures, obviously not original, but translated, but as much original as I can find. And I discovered literally a thing, that the program has been created. And it's been created with intention by personality. Yeah, in our language, it's a personality. The personality, that's basically the map, the Gnostic map of creation, that starts with this, they call it archonic construct, that was kind of a mistake of evolution, but not mistake, because everything is perfect. And through Gnosis, through the direct experience, it is possible to reach the source. Again, I'm not going to teach it because I'm not in the position of teaching it. But what moved me is the realization that the planets are not just celestial bodies, they are also personalities. The problem with the Gnostic that I see is that it uses the word evil, and that program is not evil. The original texts use the word ignorant. And indeed, in many, many traditions, ignorance is considered the biggest sin. And those are traditions that coming from the source and not from the God. And that's why I started differentiating this terminology in my inner dialogue, and I started then seeing how that is projected outwards. So it's a very, very subtle topic, because it basically shook my whole picture of the source of human design. Because human design, as we know, is a system that came to Ra in the ruina that had a well, and the voice that transmitted information was coming, as he said, deep from the source of our planet, from the center of the planet. But the center of the planet is not an actual source of creation. It is that which is a part of the program, and the program is not the source. So when I started contemplating on that, I literally started seeing the whole thing differently. And again, I'm only can share bits and pieces with you because it's really shaking the whole thing. And I started asking myself whether what we are offering as strategy and authority as an ultimate escape, is it really escape from the not self? Is strategy and authority is what can help me to connect with the source, to be one with the self, not the Julia, not the personality, but that self that is the source, or not? And the conclusion that I came with is that strategy and authority is just part of it. And what we're missing is that deep connection with the magnetic, what we call in human design magnetic monopole, that we talk very little about how to actually use the knowledge of magnetic monopole in the daily practice, in the focusing, in the attunement to our source. And again, yeah, these planets, or what in Gnostic they call them archons. Yeah, so there are 7 archons, and the main archon, and they can be seen as planets, as an entities, as evil beings, as the creators. I put a lot of pictures I found online. Yeah, but the thing is that basically is the source of duality. But are we? Do we want to be trapped in duality? Yeah, and just to focus on the actual cage, our body, our physical body, which of course is a foundation. And that's why I shared with you all the body-based practices as something that I recognize is very, very important. But I want to take you a step further, and I want to discover deeper layers. Yeah, and I do feel super vulnerable to do it here openly because this information is weird. Let's just face it. But I started bringing dots together and feeding AI with agnostic texts and with human design books. And what started coming is the information that completely blew my mind. So we opened the channel. There's only one video there. We called it Neutrino Conspiracy. And these research that I'm going to do, yeah, with the Gnostic books, design books, fed to AI, and then I'm going through every sentence, every word, correcting where needed, and we'll share more of that, because I see that that's what we need. That's what the system needs. It wants to develop, and it wants to develop through us. And the one thing that we cannot escape is, of course, the body. We cannot escape it, because escaping the body means death, but we are alive. And here is the biggest duality and the biggest trick that I'm finding of how to navigate, this life of the body. But is it just a life of the body, or is it a life of that infinite and eternal spark of divine consciousness that we call the personality crystal? And the ultimate practice that I want to offer you, which is the practice that everybody who studied with me did many times, regardless of what's been studied, because it is by far the most foundational one, is what I call the 3 foundations. And in this process, the discovery is that this lock and key, which gives us the vocabulary that we are locked here, that we are not free here, is opening the door. It's opening the door to something that cannot be said in words, but which can be experienced, because we are more powerful than the program. And that's my biggest discovery. We are way more powerful than the program. And our goal in this reality is to crack the code and to discover that power. And that's when death will be experienced as promotion and not as punishment. And I want to share this practice with you, if you would like to. Would you like to practice this right now? Yeah? Cool. So, as I said, this practice is called 3 foundations. And it can be done absolutely anywhere, anytime, where you can sit straight. Because all you need is to sit straight. Those of you who know anything about the dream wave know how differently we are functioning mechanically when our spine is erect or when it's horizontal. So basically, we become animals when we are horizontal, which allows our nervous system to recalibrate. And we are back to humans when we are sitting straight. So the first foundation in this practice is the straight body posture. And in order to make sure you are straight, just move a little bit left and right, back and forth, and let the body kind of stop by itself with these micro movements. Then pull the chin a bit inward, so you are kind of being pulled up from the top of the head. Also, just to make sure that you are absolutely straight, and at the same time, there is no pressure. You can even extend the space between the vertebrae and bring it back. So after you practice that for some time, all of it will just take you less than a minute. Yeah, but in the beginning, we can take a bit more time. Now, second foundation is relaxation. We all know, yeah, we're all striving to have a relaxed life. It starts with a relaxed body, a relaxed environment. And how to relax the body? One of the things you can do is actually go the opposite. You can just squeeze your arms and your toes and your feet and your legs and then relax. The body, and the face, make a lion, and relax. And then look at these 2 points. One around the anal muscles, several centimeters inside, and perineum, pelvic area, all get naturally relaxed when you relax the anal muscles. Lower belly, lower back, they will naturally get there. Natural relaxed state. And the upper point, the upper magic point, is in the third eye between the eyebrows, also a couple of centimeters inside. And there you relax it, breathing in and out, and then the whole face, the neck, shoulders, the chest, the back. And remember those 2 magic points and check them out from time to time, because they tend to go back to pressure a lot. And then we go to the third foundation. Here, some traditions call it differently. Some of them just talk about the free breathing, but most of them talk about connection to the heart, what we call G-center in human design. And when the connection is established, the sense of gratitude is chemical. It's not a mental concept, it's an experience. And if it's hard for you for the moment, think about somebody who made you feel so grateful, or a place that made your heart open wide, and let go of the image. And here you are, in these 3 foundations. Straight, relaxed, connected body. This is the moment of meeting the true self. And as you are connecting, imagine that vast nothingness, the full emptiness, when there are no ideas, no concepts, no systems, just itness. If you close your eyes for a moment, if they were open, just look into that interplay between the darkness and light, coming from around in the screen. What is that? Open your eyes when you're ready to meet the only possible freedom in this world. is that you. Beyond the concepts, beyond the systems, beyond the ideas. Just straight, relaxed, and present body. The moment the eye opens the mouth, the freedom is gone. And it's okay. That's what our life is. But I hope that this moment gave you the taste of what the true freedom is. And from there, you have infinite ways, infinite roads to that one goal. Which road are you taking? In my observation, there are only two modes that I'm operating in. Is the mode of consumption and mode of creation. And during the day, we all experience both. But what's the dominant? And I'd like you to take this question with you. Where am I at? Am I consuming or creating? Yeah, it's huge. And with this, I'm finishing the journey. I shared with you everything I had to share. And now I want to share with you the last one before we jump into the discussion and how we all resonate with what's been raised. My offer is this. Many of you, if not all of you, know that for many years I've been creating these big human design events, and my time has finished. I'm recognizing that as the cross of planning is finishing, and it's not relevant anymore. I still teach courses. Actually, 2 weeks ago, we had finished the certification of Living Your Design guides. So special to me. Some of the students are here, and I'm so glad to see. And I'm still teaching individually mostly, and in the small groups. And of course, I do readings and all of that. But I'm yearning to create space where I'm not a teacher, but where I'm just a facilitator, where everybody is a teacher. And it's a space that I would really love to have. People who feel they are in the position of the leadership. They are in the position of healing and supporting others. So together, we can grow in very small communities and grow into specific goals, not just talking, but doing things. So if you resonate with that, because I recognize it as a future, gathering in the small groups around a specific goal and reaching the goal thanks to support of each other. And I am now finishing my ICF certification of facilitating such a group. And that's why I'm offering to you. It's not just coming from intuition, but from my investigation. Of course, that's who I am. I always study before I can offer something. And I specifically would like to have human design teachers also, because I think that things I shared with you today, my experience, you are going through such experience. So how we offer the knowledge in a different frequency, so if you resonate with that offer, I don't have prices, I don't have schedule, it's all secondary, and we will all manage. But if you feel the calling, please let me know individually. And I would really, really like this to happen, because to me, these little pantas are the future, as we saw from Ra. And in this process, what we are doing, we are transcending. And the transcending also means the ending of the collective trance we are in. We are transcendence. We are transcending, which is waking up to whatever the mechanics is, whatever our being is. Yeah, you don't have to be a teacher, Lily. If you feel that power within, that is enough. So here I'm finishing my presentation. And I hope that was adding to your process. And